Niger's coup leaders have agreed to talks with the West African regional bloc ECOWAS. The decision follows talks with a group of Nigerian religious scholars in Niger's capital of Niamey. The visit comes as efforts intensify to restore civilian rule in Niger following the coup last month. Coup leader General Tchiani highlighted the historic ties between Niger and Nigeria. The leader of the delegation, Balalau, says those talks could begin very soon. Nigeria's former ambassador to the U.S., Ambassador Keshi, joins us now to discuss the turn of events following the Junta's acquiescence to dialogue with ECOWAS. He will be looking at what changed the hardliner position of the Junta in Niger. Of course, it's good to have you with us on Arise News. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon, Shaiton and Cynthia. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Ambassador.
All right, then. So let's get straight into it. Now, we have had this, back and forth between, the Niger Junta and, of course, ECOWAS. And now we're hearing that they are ready to dialogue. Now, my question to you this afternoon is, what do you think? What are the factors that you believe that has led to this change of a stance? We're looking at this hardline stance, and now they have agreed to a dialogue. So what factors do you believe might have contributed? And also, when you play that on the backdrop of, the reports that are coming in that they are ready to actually prosecute the outset president, or I'll say for now, the outset president, they want to take him, prosecute him for high treason because of his relationship with international leaders, foreign leaders. When we have that on the backdrop, how would you factor this out?
To your first question, I think that the leaders like ECOWAS, the current leaders of Niger, like ECOWAS leaders, they are also playing the mind game. They followed very closely, no doubt about that. They followed very closely the last ECOWAS meeting. They are fully aware, not just the division in Nigeria about, going to war with Niger, but they're also very much aware that ECOWAS is divided on this issue if what we are hearing from Ghana is anything to go by. So they are fully aware of that. And the third point is that they are also consolidating and gaining more confidence, in what they are trying to do. But you see, for them to be successful and then for them to be taken seriously, they must do everything they can to meet ECOWAS halfway, or to show their sincerity that they want to dialogue. And the first thing they should do, actually, not send mixed signals as they are doing now. They should first of all meet ECOWAS halfway by agreeing to release the former president, allow the former president to go home, and then that is meeting ECOWAS halfway to start. Not fully, but at least it's something that ECOWAS can hold on to. And then dialogue can commence. But you cannot, on one hand, say you want to dialogue, and on the other hand, you say you want to persecute the president, not for corruption, not for betraying the country, but having relationship with some foreign powers. That's part of his responsibility as the president, except he did something terribly wrong in that relationship. But for now, we have no evidence about that. So for me, they should do the best they can if they are serious to meet ECOWAS, halfway.
Duly noted, Ambassador. Now, when we look at the statement of the coup leader, that's General Tchiani, he did say that it was quite painful, or very painful in his words, for the fact that ECOWAS did not bother to listen to their side on the matter before issuing an ultimatum based on what was carried out. How significant do you think that statement is?
Well, look, this is not the first coup in the last 4 years. I think what they are trying to say is that ECOWAS is treating us differently from how they treated the coup makers in Guinea, how they treated the coup makers in Burkina Faso, how they treated the coup makers in Mali, and how they treated the coup maker in Chad. And so we need to have a common, platform, a common behavior when these things happen. Yeah, they're right. But they also created the problem because in disrespecting the delegation sent by the Nigerian leader, they created that problem because I have repeatedly said that they lost the opportunity of explaining themselves when General Boubacar led a delegation to them. He could have met General Boubacar and explained to General Boubacar what the problems were. And so that General Boubacar can relay those programs to, President Tinubu. But as long as they refuse to do that, they themselves created the problem, and now I believe they've realized it. They've apologized, but I make the point very strongly again that it's not enough to say we are going to dialogue. It's not enough to say, oh, we are sorry. You must actually meet ECOWAS halfway, take 1, 2, or 3 extra measures that will give ECOWAS the confidence that you are serious and that you really want to dialogue and listen to them. And if I were in their shoes, the first thing I would do is get the former president released to the family, ensure that he's in good health and is in good order, find a way to reach out, if not directly to the Nigerian president or to any ECOWAS president, but make an overture that, yes, we understand what you guys are saying, but we also want to talk and, place our reasons for what we did on the table. Thereafter, real conversation to resolve the issue can start.
Definitely. Now, we're looking at the coup leaders deciding to apologize to ECOWAS chairman, our president, Bola Tinubu, for denying the ECOWAS delegation access to the country. And that in itself shows, I would say, maybe some level of remorse for their actions. Now, what implications could this apology have on the regional relations and the potential for an even further successful dialogue? And also, General Tichani has cited an imminent threat to both Niger and Nigeria as the reason for the coup. So in your opinion, how do regional security concerns influence the decision-making process in such situations? And how can ECOWAS balance these security considerations with the principles of democracy?
Look, when coup leaders, when a coup is successfully executed, leaders give, some reasons that the first reason that gets to them, or whatever they want to promote, they never actually tell you the truth. By all indications, let's leave politics aside. All those who are familiar with the situation in Niger had indicated that the last president, the deposed president, wasn't doing too badly, given the circumstances in which he found himself. And as things were beginning to, take shape, yes, there are challenges, there are issues of poverty, there are issues of insecurity, and so on. But we also do know that there have been conversations going on in DJ about removing this current gentleman who is at the helm of affairs. So it could also be possible that the reason he himself did not give was that I was not prepared to allow the president to remove me and send me into retirement. And so the president delayed decision in removing him. He struck first. So all these reasons are immaterial today because the leaders, governments are very good in coming up with reasons that are sometimes, not the true position of things. All governments all over the world, they do it in their defense. So whatever he's saying, it's not, for me, it's not, shouldn't be taken seriously now. What is most important is to find a way to resolve this issue in a very amicable way, in such a way that we do not get to that extent of military intervention. As I said, they followed the ECOWAS last meeting very well. They were aware of the fact that, yes, ECOWAS is prepared to pursue diplomatic options, but that ECOWAS also did not remove from the table the possibility of military intervention, despite the pressure despite the pressure in particular on the Nigerian leadership. So they are aware of all these things, and You know, look, this coup should tell us that we no longer live in an isolated environment. You'll be surprised when you see a lot of things coming out from Niger. What there are, some of the videos, some of their scripts, I mean, what do you call them, comedians, what they are sending out. It shows you that they are very much conversant with what's going on in Nigeria. They are very much conversant with the fact that the bulk of the Nigerian citizens will not want any war between Nigeria and Niger. So they're also playing that game. It's a mind game that both sides are playing for now.
Duly noted, Ambassador. You stated it's a mind game that both sides are playing. Now, you also highlighted some of the ways you believe the coup plotters erred in their approach. But I'd like to ask you about, what your observations have been in terms of how the president of Nigeria and the chairman of ECOWAS, as well as the bloc, might have erred in their ways regarding how they approached this Niger coup, whether from start to finish.
Well, they didn't start too well. The problem, in my view, and I've repeatedly said this in all the interviews I've granted, the problem started when in the first meeting and making the Nigerian leader, the chairman of ECOWAS, they all, for whatever reason, which remain a puzzle, they zero in on coup. I have repeatedly said that there are so many issues on ECOWAS table that they could have decided this is what we are going to do, particularly the issue of insecurity itself in the sub-region. ECOWAS is almost, if not over 40 years old, Its main objective is the economic integration of the sub-region. This it has not achieved. Beyond the issue of free movement of persons, and I think they have a common health, institution that works for the region. ECOWAS practically has not achieved any of its stated objectives for one simple reason, that in the last couple of years, go back to 20 years, ECOWAS has been distracted by issues of insecurity. And you will think that leaders who are very serious will focus on how to address this issue of insecurity in the sub-region and begin to say to themselves, what causes insecurity? How can insecurity be addressed so that there could be development? Instead, they zeroed in on coup, which leads you to begin to wonder whether they were not themselves, protecting their self-interest. When you hear the president of Ivory Coast saying that the coup plotter in Niger is a terrorist, here is a man himself who violated democratic practice by extending his tenure in office. And that is part of what creates the problem of coup in the sub-region, when people refuse to adhere to good governance and to democratic practice itself. So if you have democracy retreating in a number of countries, it's also because of lack of good governance and poor leadership in the sub-region.
I couldn't agree with you more. Of course, looking at the reason why the coup happened in the first place, having so much of the French and the US presence and still battling with ISIS and Boko Haram. But this is where we would have to end this interview today. Thank you so much for your time. Nigeria former ambassador to the US, Ambassador Joe Keshi. Thank you for your time here on Newsday.